With respect to the 2-week ceasefire announced by President Trump last night, this is a victory for the United States of America that the President and our incredible military made happen.
To the decisive military victory we just achieved in Operation Epic Fury, a capital V military victory.
Everyone knows this is a disaster for America, no matter how many times Hegseth or some others tried to spin it. The Trump administration went into this war with no clear strategy and constantly changing war aims. One day it was to prevent Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon, the next day it was to eliminate Iran's missile and drone threat, another day was regime change. All of this been made worse by a constant stream of contradictory and bellicose social media posts coming from the Commander-in-Chief. So here's the question being asked: did Iran win, and did Trump blink? After 40 days of war, a ceasefire, negotiated not by the US but by Pakistan. Trump was the first to sign it, with Iran signing a number of hours later. The sequence of the signing here is very important. The order really matters, because in diplomacy, who says yes first often shapes the entire narrative of who had leverage. It signals who wanted out more. When one side moves first to accept a ceasefire, it can look like they needed the pause more urgently. In this case, the US announced the ceasefire quickly after escalating rhetoric. Iran waited and then responded conditionally. That creates the perception that Washington was looking for an off-ramp and that Tehran could afford to wait and set terms. It also undercuts the total victory narrative. If the US had clearly won, you'd expect Iran signing quickly, with them making concessions up front. Instead, Iran delayed, and they added conditions. They kept key demands like nuclear ambitions, sanctions relief, and their regional role. That contrast makes claims of total victory look like gaslighting at best. It affects how allies and rivals read power. Other countries don't just look at the deal, they look at how it happened. European allies see a chaotic US climb down. The Gulf states question US reliability, and rivals like China and Russia see the limits of US pressure. So the sequence feeds a broader conclusion. American pressure didn't force Iran to fold. Let's take a look at this. Before the war, Iran was weakened. Its proxies were degraded, its nuclear program slowed. It was negotiating largely on US terms, and shipping through the Strait of Hormuz was uninterrupted. We now have an Iran that controls the Strait of Hormuz and is charging access. Some reports are putting a toll of $2 million per tanker. There has been no regime change despite what Trump says, and their nuclear program is still intact to some degree. And added to all this is that US alliances have been fractured, with trust in the US been at an all-time low. Spain's Prime Minister summed it up perfectly when he said, "We will not applaud those who set the world on fire, just because they show up with a bucket." The Trump administration are trying to sell this ceasefire as a victory, but it's anything but. Let's not forget, just 24 hours before the ceasefire, Trump warned that he would wipe out an entire civilization if Iran didn't make a deal. Then a few hours later, he suddenly signs the deal for a ceasefire, talks about cooperation, and even suggests a joint toll system with Iran for the Strait of Hormuz. That's not strategy. That's total chaos. It brings into focus the mental state of someone who is in control of the world's most powerful military and seems to have no problem threatening to unleash it on millions of innocents. It has led to a serious questioning of Trump's mental state and has even prompted some in power to question, are we in 25th Amendment territory, which could see him removed from office. So let's audit the results. Did Iran give up enriched uranium? No. Did they stop nuclear development? No. Did they agree to missile limits? No. And was there a collapse of the regime? No again. So why is Hegseth and others claiming victory? Here's what's changed. Iran has now more leverage. Just one example of this is now that they have control of the Strait of Hormuz. America looks weaker, oil markets are shaken, global alliances are strained, and possibly the biggest shift, the world just saw the limits of US power. This wasn't just about Iran, this was about Trump. Erratic decisions, expletive-laden threats, sudden reversals, no clear strategy, and one major concern out of all of this. There's nothing stopping this from happening again. Where will it be next? Will it be an invasion of Greenland, the territory of another NATO ally? Or maybe Cuba, which Trump said he would like to take? Because while the US and Iran clash, other players are watching. Russia gains influence in the region by supplying intelligence and military tech. China has strengthened its position by also providing intelligence and military tech to Iran, and has also provided protection for them in the UN. One example being a recent rejection, along with Russia, of a UN resolution to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to commercial shipping. There has also been a major shift in the position of Gulf states as a result of losing trust in America. The long-standing security arrangement with the US, which peaked in 1990 to 1991, is viewed as over. Gulf leaders are seeking more transparent coordination and stronger, reliable commitments rather than blind reliance on US policy. All of this is leading to a significant shift in global order. So let's get back to the question, did Iran win and did Trump blink? Maybe the answer is simpler. Nobody really won, at least from where we are at this moment. But what is really clear is that Trump is desperate to find an off-ramp. His war of choice has brought nothing more than chaos to the region and to the global financial markets, and has cost countless lives. The 2-week ceasefire is already under strain, with Israel launching major airstrikes into Lebanon, which Iran said was to be part of the ceasefire agreement. Iran's ambassador to Pakistan announced that the country's delegation would arrive in Islamabad today for serious talks on terms of a peace deal. These talks are due to take place tomorrow, Friday, or possibly Saturday. And then, today, Thursday the 9th of April, we have another threat issued by Trump via social media that if no agreement is reached, shooting starts bigger and better and stronger than anyone has seen before. One would have thought that making a threat against your adversary the day before peace talks are to begin is not the way to proceed, and goes some way to explain Iran's complete and understandable distrust of the US. But one thing is clear, the world is now more unstable than it was 40 days ago, and this story is far from over. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.